Al and I have always wanted to visit the Kingdom of Bhutan. This Himalayan country is sandwiched between China and India, making it an out-of-the-way kind of place. Flying into the airport at Paro, you are sure you will never see anything but the rapidly enclosing hillsides around you. Our guide, Sharing, met the plane and brought our group of 6 to the waiting bus and to meet our driver, Eugen. A few miles from Paro, we officially entered the land of the double thunder dragons by passing through an arch beautifully decorated in the same theme, and stopping then to make 3 clockwise turns on our first prayer wheel for blessings, for good luck with the journeys ahead. Beside us, at the confluence of 2 rivers, stood religious monuments in 4 different styles: Tibetan, Nepalese, Ladakhi, and Bhutanese. We drove through Winter Bear Hills through Thimphu, the capital of Bhutan, and our base of operations for the next few days. This city is busy with construction that an expanding population demands, but still nicely decorated with early spring blossoms on the trees. We visited the Memorial Chorten, built to honor the 3rd king and the focus for many Bhutanese in their daily religious worships. The National Institute for Arts and Crafts provides instructions for students in Bhutan's many traditional arts: painting, carving, embroidery, and temple decoration. Weaving is a widespread activity for many. It is a living national art because most of the cloth that is woven is made into the traditional dress, the kira for women and the go for men. It was fascinating to watch these accomplished weavers at work, as well as to see their weaving products for sale along the way. Often we stopped at shrines beside the road, which generally were gaily decorated with prayer flags. These large prayer wheels were continuously turned by water rushing down from a creek. Many nooks and crannies at this shrine were filled with tsatsas, objects molded from the ashes of beloved relatives. We traveled to Tango Monastery at the end of the Thimphu Valley and began our pilgrimage to the monastery by crossing a river and taking a 1-hour hike up a wandering trail. Built initially in the 15th century around meditation caves, the monastery was then more massively built to today's proportion and serves as a university for Buddhist studies. Through Sharing, we spoke to a monk about his life at the monastery. Shame that no photos were allowed inside of the wonderful murals and tapestries. We had to be content with outside altars and the carved decorations and, of course, the ubiquitous prayer wheels. From Thimphu, we traveled up into the mountains and over Dochu La Pass at 10,300 feet. It's marked with an impressive 108 newly built chortens. There are thousands of prayer flags strung in the trees, as well as a newly built monastery on the top of the pass. Punakha Dzong was the second one built in Bhutan and is probably the most beautiful. It served as the seat of Bhutan's government until everything was transferred to the new capital in Thimphu. The Dzong, which means fortress, sits at the joining of the Mochu and Pochu rivers. It has 3 courtyards in the interior instead of traditionally 2. Later, our group was treated to a traditional folk song and dance performance by a group who showed us local folk dances, sang us their folk songs, and played traditional Bhutanese instruments. The evening wouldn't have been complete without audience participation. Crossing over another high mountain pass, Pelela Pass of 11,200, we could see the snow-covered far peaks of the Himalaya Mountains right along the border with China, providing a wonderful backdrop for our morning tea stop before dropping down into another beautiful valley. We visited Jampe Lakang, the oldest monastery in Bhutan, built in 659 by a Tibetan king. These monasteries are still in active use and very important to the Buddhist population of Bhutan. Nearby, and newly built, is Zangto Pelri Lakang. It is the Queen Mother's Chorten, and it again features elaborate decoration. It was entirely built without the use of nails. The traditional architecture was outstanding. These murals are of the guardians of the four directions: south, east, north, and west. Our guide learned there were big ceremonies taking place at Tamshin Gomba, another monastery. The highest monk of the district was visiting and bestowing blessings on the people. Students were rolling quantities of herbs in fabric casings back and forth. Many people were chanting the mantras both inside the temple and out in a sheltered courtyard. In the Tang Valley, we paid a visit to a royal residence. These buildings have been restored after the severe 1897 earthquake and are now a museum. We were lucky to have Kunzan Choden from the aristocratic family that owns the museum to be on hand and be our guide. We ate a lovely lunch overlooking the whole valley, the fields and terraces below dotted with tiny villages and isolated farms. A walk through rice paddy fields brought the group to the small village of Pana. Rice is one of the main crops of Bhutan, as well as wheat, barley, and buckwheat. The phallic symbols on the house are very common throughout Bhutan and are thought to ward off evil. People were a bit startled to see us there, but went on with their daily chores, washing, hauling fodder, and constructing a new building in the local fashion, with wooden beams fitted together without nails, and traditional shaped window frames already in place. The under-eaves of the village roofs were intricate in both design and in their building. Local markets were colorful and busy with vendors and shoppers, mostly in traditional dress, buying and selling foodstuffs and general housewares. A lot of vegetables, tomatoes, squash, potatoes, cauliflower, along with piles of dried red chili and strings of dried yak cheese. There were oranges and melons and a few bananas for fruit, and lots of types of dried fish. Many of our group had been teachers, as well as our guide sharing before he turned to guide work. So we were glad to visit the Trang Middle Secondary School. The assistant headmaster had us visit 2 classrooms, primary and middle students. We told them about ourselves and they shyly asked questions in pretty good English, which all grades study regularly at school. A steep, steep trail, totally festooned with prayer flags, leads down to the Flaming Lake. Sacred treasures were discovered here by one of Bhutan's famous saints, and thus it is visited by many Buddhist pilgrims. The Flaming Lake is really a river that forms pools before it cascades down the mountainside. Our group hiked up the hill to a farm belonging to a childhood friend of Charing. The typical farmhouse has the ground floor reserved for stables and storage, again with a phallic symbol for decoration. The upper wooden part of the house was where we had our lunch. The farm had just received electricity a month before our visit, although the family still tills the soil and plants their crop of wheat by hand. Back in Trongsa, we maneuvered through narrow roads to the Trongsa Dong, a commanding fortress dating back to the 16th century and the ancestral home of Bhutan's royal family. This strategic location gave it great power over this part of the country. The Dzong is divided in 2 parts, a religious assembly hall and monastery, and the administrative offices of the town and district. Recent renovations have preserved the paintings and the architecture inside the Dzong, such as this. This is the Wheel of Life, and a mural of other deities. Takshangomba is more frequently called Tiger's Nest Monastery and is probably the most famous and revered pilgrim site of all Bhutan. The monastery sits high in the hills outside of Paro, perched on precipitous rocky cliffs which seem to defy the logic of building it there. It is said that Guru Rinpoche flew to the site on the back of a tigress to subdue local demons. However, the only way for us to reach the monastery now is to hike the trail or take a horse partway to the top. The views here were far more spectacular than the monastery itself. The festival at Paro was one of the main attractions of our trip to Bhutan. Nearly every town in Bhutan holds a teshu, as these festivals are called, and we attended the last 2 days of the one in Paro. The festival dances are held at the Paro Dzong, one of Bhutan's most impressive dzongs, whose correct name means fortress on a heap of jewels. People come from all over the country to this festival wearing their best clothes, the go and kira, and looking like jewels themselves. They are enthusiastic spectators at the dances, and they come to see the unfurled tanka and to get blessings from the monks and spirits of the dzong. Dance accompaniment is with horns, drums, and cymbals, or the singing of folkloric chants for the dancing groups. Many of the dancers wear masks to help portray the stories of the gods and demons they confront. The stag dancers represent the conversion of a hunter to Buddhism. The Dance of the Heroes leads the believers from the human world to the Guru Rinpoche. The oversized effigy will chase away bad spirits. Next day, the rainy morning did not dampen the spirits of the people coming out to see the magnificent tanka. Once a year, this huge tapestry, which is a beautiful blend of applique and embroidery and is hundreds of years old, is unfurled on the last day of the teshu. The tanka depicts the 8 manifestations of the Guru Rinpoche. It is believed that one's sins are washed away simply by viewing this large religious relic. The very old sing chants to ensure that they will be able to see it again the following year. The very young are more interested in a camel. The monks of the monastery also come to see and pray at the tanka. The monks form a procession along with government officials and students from local schools. The long lines formed gave us a gorgeous parade of the traditional hand-woven materials that make the national dress for men and women. The town of Paro bustles with people visiting the festival. In addition to the shops in town, a special festival market is set up near the grounds of the dzong and was very busy with gatherings of people visiting each other and buying from the many booths set up there, like choosing new jewelry or wooden bowls. Archery is the national sport of Bhutan, and the festival provided time for different archery teams to compete against each other. All in all, a very rewarding finale to our journey to Bhutan.